Greetings, everybody. I'm John Muka. I've attended almost every Hamilton School Board meeting for the past 3 years. Because of what I've been seeing recently with the budget, the New Jersey State testing results, the Robinson Pre-K and the Pools projects, I've decided to run for school board this year. Now, let me tell you the story of the basic problem here. As Hamilton residents, we're spending lots of money on our public schools. And the reality is we're getting some pretty poor results. And on top of that, we've just seen 2 strategic facilities projects fizzle out because the expected bond borrowing wasn't actually approved. Now, our current school board has failed to ask the right questions at the right time. They've failed to listen to reasonable alternatives from residents as this whole situation goes on. So let's begin by taking a look at that Hamilton school budget. Now, we have a big school district with a big budget. In the first column, you can see that the total spending for the coming year is going to be about $293 million. $154 million, or 52% of that, comes from sources outside of Hamilton, like the state of New Jersey, the feds, and some other places. $133 million, which is less than half, comes directly from our Hamilton taxes. Now, of course, all $293 million comes from taxes. And we pay the Hamilton tax, we pay state taxes, and we pay federal taxes. And that's where that money comes from. When the state and federal and other sources give us our own tax money back, it comes along with restrictions and stipulations. And it can be canceled with little or no notice. And several school districts right now in New Jersey, like Toms River, they're in a crisis because they didn't get the expected state funds that they were promised. Now, we have 12,896 students signed up for September, and the enrollments are projected to keep increasing as time goes on. It comes out to about $23,000 of spending for each student in our public schools. That's an average of about, it's an average of about $8,322 per each household of our 35,000 households in Hamilton. Now, the question is, we're spending all this money, $293 million on our schools. What is Hamilton's return on this investment? What are we expecting to get back from spending that $293 million? Now, public schools are a great thing. They've long been an important part of our community and a resource. It's an American approach to give every child a chance to learn those basic skills of reading and writing and math and history, how to get along with people, how to make reasonable conclusions. These are the skills that lead to success at school, on the job, in the family, and in our own community. So there's a lot of good reasons to spend the money necessary for this to happen. Unfortunately, there's significant evidence that we're not getting the performance we expect or the performance of years gone by. And one very clear way to see this is to take a close look at the New Jersey State testing results as they're reported by percentile rank. Percentiles are easy to understand and easy to compare. So, for example, if you have a percentile score of 80%, that means that school performed better than 80% of all similar schools in New Jersey on the testing. Of course, on the other hand, if you get a low score of 20%, that means that 80% of schools are doing better than you are. So let's take a look at the percentile rankings for all 23 Hamilton public schools. Now, I copied this directly from the Department of Education website. They've included a convenient color code. Red indicates the bottom third performers, blue means the top third, and the more neutral grayish color, that's the middle third. And the redder means it's worse performance, and the bluer means it's better performance. So you can see kind of at a glance, the Hamilton school percentiles do have a wide range. Now let's just make those numbers a bit easier to read, and then we'll zoom in a little bit more. You'll see that Grice Middle School is the worst of our Hamilton schools. Grice students scored just 7.46 percentile on the testing. Now this means that 93% of New Jersey schools perform better than our Grice Middle School does. Now, on the other hand, we have 2 schools who performed relatively well. And that's the Pace Charter School at 81.6 and Yardville Elementary right behind at 80.9%. those students are doing better than 80% of New Jersey schools tested. Now, we can go ahead and map out all of our 23 schools in terms of those top, middle, and bottom thirds. And as we do that, you're going to see pretty quickly that 14 of our 23 schools are actually in the bottom third, and that only 6 are in the middle third and only 3 make the top third performance. So let's take a look. 2 out of 3 high schools are in the bottom third. All 3 of our middle schools are scoring in the bottom third. And 9 out of our 17 elementary schools, they're also in the bottom third. And we have 5 elementary schools that made it into the middle tier, and only 3 schools, the 2 we've previously mentioned plus Yardville Heights, only 3 of those elementary schools are in the top tier. So overall, it's kind of a shock to see that 14 of 23 schools, more than half of our schools, are performing in the bottom third. It's also just as shocking to see that only 3 schools made it into the top third. Now, understand this analysis here is my own. I found the link to the state info in a NewJersey.com article. None of these charts or this information has ever been officially presented at a school board meeting, or a Dr. Rocco presentation, or in one of his community updates. So overall, this dose of reality might be a surprise if you thought we were doing much better than that as a school system. Of course, there's good news. We have 2 schools that are doing it very well, 3 schools actually that are in the top 3, the top tier. And that shows that we have the ability in Hamilton to do well. And we have the ability to improve the performance of our other schools and move them up those tiers as time goes on. The problem is going to be finding out what exactly is wrong and then having a realistic plan to make it better.